What's good, guys? Now, the other day I put out a video showing you how to beat these Darth Revan teams with the Jedi Revan. I had a few people then pop up saying, well, it can't beat team so-and-so. In this case, it was the one with the Grand Admiral Thrawn in it himself. And I've gone out and I've tested and found a few ways you can beat this, several with the Jedi and one with kind of like a mixed squad. There are other teams like entirely that also beat it, and I'll show those in future videos, but in this one in particular, I'll show you what little tweaks you can do to your Jedi Revan team to be able to beat this squad. So let's get into the video. Right, Mobile Gamer has set up this team for us. Obviously, I'm running slower mods across my team, so if your enemy is 10 speed faster than these, then just add 10 to yours and scale up for a rebalance. Revan at 147, Thrawn at 145. Bastila is at 129. HK will be all about damage anyway, but speed at 84. And lastly, Trooper at 82 with over 124k health and protection. That's pretty nasty. So this is a well modded squad. The percentage of players that are running something faster than this is incredibly small. And as I've said, just scale the difference so you know it's possible. I have several different team comps that beat this, some better than others, and I'll start with my personal favorite full Jedi lineup. Okay, so this team is all about damage with extra dispel. Obviously, Revan has a 40 speed buffer from his kit, so you can be as low as 108 and still go first. The plan is simple, focus on Bastila as usual. You could mod Yoda with crit sets here to gamble on landing some. It really does help with the defense modded Bastilas, but those tend to perform worse in Darth Revan mirror matches, so aren't all that common anyway. As you can see, we've already got rid of Bastila, so now we're kind of forced to go after Sith Trooper. Alright, we've lost Revan, but that's not actually going to affect us any, so. Keep picking away at Sith Trooper. Alright, call Yoda. Alright, just keep smashing away. He's almost gone. Alright, and that'll do. Alright, call Yoda again. Finish with the old big hit. All right, that's him done. The great thing about having Ezra in the team, you see, is if they do manage to get rid of Yoda instead of Revan, you've still got a big hitter in the squad. No point using that old Revan move, he won't actually assist. And done. I've done this several times with this Ezra squad. This is actually one of the worst runs, so I figured I'd show that one because you're probably more likely to get, you know, a bit of a rougher run than you are a flawless one. Now time for probably the very best lineup, and this one is crazy. It's so effective. But remember, with two rebels around, Revan is only gaining a speed buffer of 25 this time, and this is why I prefer the Ezra team, as you'll need to be closer in a speed battle here. But if you can be within 25, it's actually a lot easier. As you can see, you just stun Thrawn right out the gate. Then you put the focus on Bastila and completely smash her using specials to ensure that Chewie's getting additional damage in. Once she drops, and it really won't take that long. There we go, special, and she's gone. Now we'll use the saber throw to make sure that we're at full health and make sure that Yoda's going to go next. Let's get it on the Admiral. Just a little extra damage on him. Right, now we've got to deal with Sith Trooper, which, as you've seen in the battles, he just isn't that tanky without the likes of Traya around. Let's call Yoda, and he's almost gone already. I think we'll actually make use of this. The great thing about the Grand Admiral is he's going to pass his TM and protection before he's going to try and fracture. So with this team, because we're stunning him, he's not going to even get to fracture. I mean, I'm sure most of you are probably faster than the mods I'm using here on my test account. And look at that. Thrawn got one turn. Never in any danger whatsoever. But as I said, it does require slightly faster mods on Revan. Okay, so it is possible with the standard team, although I don't run this personally. I run the Han Chewie team unless the enemy is more than 25 speed faster, then I run Ezra. But let me show you how it's done with the original team. Same again, focus on Bastila. The problem here is we're probably going to end up fractured in this one, and if they do fracture Yoda, it can collapse. But if he fractures anyone else, and more often than not, as you've seen, he fractures Kenobi or Jolie for whatever reason. I don't know if it's coded that he goes after the, you know, the most tanky character, but he seems to do it to them more than anybody. I just don't like the gamble. As you guys know, I don't recommend teams that are heavily RNG dependent. So if you can avoid this, then please just use the Jedi one with Ezra, or just use the Rebel one. But I will show this can be done. This is actually how I beat the first ever one on my main arena shard. I had completely underestimated how the Grand Admiral would perform, but I still beat him anyway. Alright, we're going to want rid of HK. We're going to leave the Grand Admiral to last. He's already fractured Kenobi anyway, so there's no point making him a priority target. He doesn't really do any damage. Alright, this will pretty much spell the end for HK. Revan's already been totally smoked because he's so soft. Looks like we're coming up on Kenobi's big special, so we'll use that one on Thrawn. Right, that's the end of HK, and finished. Pretty simple. I just don't like the RNG myself, so it can be done if you have no other option. But if you do have the ability to use Han and Chewie in arena, you won't have a problem. But in territory wars and Grand Arena, you may have to run the Ezra one over this, in my opinion. And for another Jedi team that most top end players will have, Hermit Yoda can sub in and help out. Also, once again, there is a little RNG element because you don't really know who is going to get fractured. You don't really want Yoda fractured. We don't have Ezra there to give us backup damage. Although, again, he just tends to fracture everybody but for some reason. I don't know why. I always focus Bastila straight away. I know some people like to actually focus on Grand Admiral Thrawn, and I personally don't like that. It's way too much of a gamble for me. Okay, so he's fractured Bastila this time. We'll call the right Yoda. He's changed places for whatever reason this time. I haven't actually got a move I can use there, so we'll just use that one. Alright, continue chopping away. Actually, I'm going to get counter around there. It's probably more sensible. There's a lot of AoE in Darth Revan teams, which makes it so much easier to kill them if you have counter around. Alright, looks like Trooper is all but done. We're actually going to get this on the Grand Admiral, get rid of him. Now we have Bastila back in action. And this is already over. There's no way these two are going to beat this full team. They'll do a little bit of damage, but they're not actually going to come close to actually winning. Alright, see you later, Riven. And that's HK screwed. So as you can see, it works. It's another option if you need General Kenobi somewhere else. But again, Ezra and Han really are the way to go if you want to use Jedi Revan here. So even though I listed them in the actual battle, some people like to see the exact sets that are being used as well. So I'll just go through the mods that I was using on these teams. Here's Jedi Revan at 134. As I've said, most of those teams you can actually be 40 lower than Darth Revan. Just the Rebel one's only 25, remember that. Here's Yoda, only 60 speed. 6600 on the special damage. You can easily use crit sets on him here, but you may have to swap again when you go up against any Jedi teams, obviously. Hermit Yoda at 104. Bastila Shan, I have an offense modded there, as you see, at only 98. Most teams, obviously in the Jedi ones, a lot of people tend to have Bastila a lot faster than this. It's not necessary here. Jolie at 89. You compare this to the teams we were facing. The enemies were all like 135, 147. So these are really like substandard mods in comparison. 118 on Ezra. I had some pretty decent crit sets here, but I didn't want to get too silly and stick like 140 on him. Trying to keep it achievable for the average player at this end of arena. General Kenobi, just 87. Now we'll go to the Rebels. Where is he? There he is. As advertised at just 98. And lastly, Chewie, Okay, yeah, he's obviously, one of the mods is on the other character. You can see it was 87 here. If we go and get it, it's got to be on Ezra, because that was the last team that I was actually playing around with. There it is. All right, an extra 15. That should put us at 102, as I mentioned earlier on. There it is. So there you see, these were the mods that were in use, these were the speeds that were in use, and the enemy was so much faster, so you can scale to match and suit for your account and your opponents. And that's it for this video, guys. As you can see, that team is not unbeatable like a lot of people were telling me and taking shots at me for whatever random reason for having avoided it, even though it just simply wasn't on my climb the day I filmed the first film. But it's quite doable. The best team to be using is the Rebels by far. Just make sure you're within 25 speed, as I've said several times in this video. Otherwise, go with the Ezra squad just in case, you know, they opt to fracture Yoda. You've got a damage dealer in Ezra that can, you know, get the kills and bring Yoda back into battle. So those would be my recommendations. The mods scale, as I've shown you mine, I've shown you theirs. So it's quite simple to figure out the difference between you and your opponent and where my teams were at. And that's pretty much it, guys. So shout out to all my patrons for supporting me. Please like and subscribe to my channel for future videos. And until next time, we out of here.